conquering Mount Everest for the first time. The legendary expedition of Hilary and Norgay. Chapter 1: The Call of Everest. In the shadow of the Himalayas, Mount Everest stood as a towering enigma, its summit reaching a staggering 29,029 feet above sea level. It was more than just a mountain. Everest was a symbol, a beacon calling to the boldest adventurers and explorers. By the early 1950s, it remained the last great unclimbed peak, a challenge that had thwarted many and claimed the lives of some. Into this realm of high adventure and higher stakes stepped two men from vastly different worlds: Edmund Hilary, a determined beekeeper and mountaineer from New Zealand, and Tenzing Norgay, a skilled and experienced Sherpa from Nepal. Edmund Hilary, born in 1919 in Auckland, New Zealand, had developed a passion for climbing while in school. His early expeditions in the mountains of New Zealand had imbued in him not just a love for climbing but also a resilience and skill that would serve him well in the years to come. By the 1950s, he had already participated in several Himalayan expeditions, earning a reputation as a strong and reliable climber. Tenzing Norgay's journey to Everest was rooted in a very different soil. Born in 1914 in a small village in the Khumbu region of Nepal, Tenzing grew up in the shadow of the Himalayas. He had been part of multiple Everest expeditions as a Sherpa, an ethnic group known for their exceptional mountaineering abilities. By the time he teamed up with Hilary, Tenzing had already made several attempts to reach the summit of Everest, coming closer than any before. The year 1953 was significant. It marked the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, and there was a prevailing sentiment in Britain that a successful British expedition to Everest would be a fitting tribute to this occasion. The British had been attempting to conquer Everest since the early 1920s, and each failure only deepened their resolve. The 1953 British Mount Everest expedition, led by Colonel John Hunt, was meticulously planned. It comprised over 400 people, including climbers, Sherpas, and support staff, along with tons of supplies and state-of-the-art equipment. Hilary and Norgay were part of this well-orchestrated expedition. They arrived in Kathmandu in early March and began the arduous trek to Everest's base camp. This journey itself was not without challenges. Trekking for weeks through rugged terrain, crossing icy rivers, and acclimatizing to the thinning air was a test of endurance and will. As they ascended through the beautiful yet unforgiving landscape, they formed a bond, a mutual respect and understanding that would be crucial in the days to come. As the team set up base camp and began their ascent, the enormity of their task became increasingly evident. The mountain, with its fierce winds, treacherous ice falls, and oxygen-thin air, was an adversary like no other. It demanded respect, and it extracted a heavy toll from those who dared to challenge it. For Hilary and Norgay, the call of Everest was not just about personal ambition or national pride. It was a deep-seated need to test the limits of human endurance and to explore the boundaries of the possible. As they prepared for the final push to the summit, they knew that the eyes of the world were upon them. But more importantly, they understood that they were about to tread where no one had ever stepped before. The mountain had issued its challenge, and they were ready to answer the call. Chapter 2: The Formidable Challenge. Mount Everest, known in Nepali as Sagarmatha and in Tibetan as Chomolungma, loomed as a colossal giant, a formidable challenge that had beckoned and beaten many expeditions before. For Edmund Hilary and Tenzing Norgay, the task ahead was not just a physical or technical climb, but a venture into an unknown world where every element was an adversary. The mountain, revered and feared, was a maze of unpredictable weather, treacherous terrain, and thinning air, each step towards its summit fraught with peril. The environment of Everest is one of extremes. Temperatures can plummet to below -60 degrees Celsius, capable of freezing flesh in an instant. Winds howl with the fury of a freight train, often reaching speeds of over 200 kilometers per hour, turning snow into a blinding, suffocating force. The landscape is a shifting labyrinth of crevices and ice falls, where the ground can crack open or collapse without warning. For Hilary and Norgay, acclimatization to these extreme conditions was vital. The human body is not made for such heights. The air above 26 feet, known as the death zone, is so thin that sustaining life is nearly impossible. Every breath at this altitude is a struggle, with only a third of the oxygen available at sea level. The risk of altitude sickness, pulmonary edema, or cerebral edema was high, and the slightest miscalculation or delay could prove fatal. Moreover, the climb required meticulous technical planning and execution. The route to the summit was a gauntlet of obstacles, including the treacherous Khumbu Icefall, a river of ice full of crevices and towering seracs that could collapse without warning. Navigating this section required precise timing and expert use of ladders and ropes. Beyond the icefall lay the Lhotse face, a massive wall of ice that demanded unrelenting physical exertion and technical skill to ascend. Hilary and Norgay, along with their team, had to carry heavy gear, including oxygen tanks, which were crucial for survival in the higher altitudes. The choice of using supplemental oxygen was a subject of much debate in the mountaineering community, but at those heights, it could mean the difference between life and death. However, these tanks added extra weight, and managing them in the frigid, hostile environment was a challenge in itself. The psychological aspect of the climb was as daunting as the physical. The isolation, the vastness of the landscape, and the constant awareness of the risks involved weighed heavily on the climbers. There was the ever-present danger of avalanches, the risk of falling into unseen crevices, and the knowledge that any mistake could be catastrophic. The mental fortitude required to push forward in the face of such adversity was immense. For Hilary and Norgay, the mountain was more than a physical entity to be conquered. It was a journey into the very limits of human capability and endurance. The preparation, the climb, the constant battle against the elements, and the awareness of those who had perished in this quest before them, all these factors contributed to the formidable challenge that Everest posed. It was a test not just of their climbing skills, but of their courage, determination, and the strength of their spirit. As they advanced higher, with each camp established closer to the summit, the enormity of their undertaking became increasingly apparent, a relentless quest against one of nature's most awe-inspiring creations. Chapter 3: The Journey Begins. As spring dawned in 1953, the British Mount Everest expedition, led by Colonel John Hunt, commenced its monumental journey towards the highest point on Earth. Among the team were Edmund Hilary, a robust and determined New Zealander, and Tenzing Norgay, an experienced Sherpa from Nepal, each with their own reasons for undertaking this formidable challenge. Their journey began in Kathmandu, the bustling capital of Nepal. The city was a vibrant tapestry of cultures and traditions, a stark contrast to the isolation and austerity they would soon face. Here, the team made final preparations, gathering supplies and equipment essential for their survival and success on the mountain. The air was thick with anticipation and a sense of impending adventure. The initial leg of their journey was a trek to Everest Base Camp, a daunting undertaking in itself. This trek, covering over 200 miles, was an arduous journey through some of the world's most rugged landscapes. The route took them through remote villages, across swinging suspension bridges, and along narrow paths carved into steep hillsides. The vibrant prayer flags and chortens, traditional Buddhist structures, dotted along the way served as a constant reminder of the spiritual significance of their endeavor. As they ascended, the landscape transformed dramatically. Lush green valleys gave way to rocky terrain and then to the icy expanse of glaciers. The air grew thinner with each step, challenging their lungs and testing their endurance. Acclimatization became a key aspect of their journey. They needed to allow their bodies to adapt to the high altitude to avoid the perilous effects of mountain sickness. Setting up a series of progressively higher camps was a logistical feat. Each camp, established at strategic points along the route, served as a base for acclimatization climbs and rest. These camps were critical for storing supplies and equipment, and for providing shelter from the harsh elements. The most formidable was the Advanced Base Camp, established on the Khumbu Glacier, a desolate and unforgiving landscape of ice and snow. Hilary and Norgay, along with their fellow climbers and Sherpas, faced numerous challenges in these early stages. They navigated through the treacherous Khumbu Icefall, a maze of ice towers and crevices that shifted unpredictably. The icefall was a place of eerie beauty but immense danger, demanding skill, caution, and a bit of luck to traverse. As they moved higher, the challenges intensified. The air became razor thin, the temperatures plummeted, and the landscape became a vast, white wilderness. Every step required effort, and the weight of their packs and oxygen tanks made the ascent even more grueling. Yet, amidst these hardships, there were moments of profound beauty and tranquility. The sight of the sun rising over the towering peaks, casting a golden light on the snow and ice, was mesmerizing. The night sky at high altitude was a spectacle of stars, so clear and bright that it seemed almost within reach. Hilary and Norgay, along with the team, forged a strong camaraderie, united by a common goal. Their days were marked by a routine of climbing, setting up camp, and preparing for the next leg of the journey. The expedition was a delicate balance of pushing forward and respecting the limits of their bodies and the mountain. As they approached the final stages of their ascent, the summit of Everest loomed ever closer, a beacon guiding their journey. The mountain, with its harsh beauty and formidable presence, was a constant companion, a challenge that awaited their final push. In these early stages of their journey, as they acclimatized and planned, the summit was a distant dream. But with each step, it became a more tangible goal, a challenge that beckoned them to test the limits of human endurance and spirit. Chapter 4: The Final Ascent. The final ascent to the summit of Mount Everest, undertaken by Edmund, Hillary, and Tenzing Norgay, was the culmination of weeks of arduous climbing and careful acclimatization. This last leg of their journey would test them to their limits and etch their names in history. On the morning of May 28, 1953, Hillary and Norgay set up their highest camp yet, at an altitude of about 27,900 feet on the South Col. The South Col, a desolate, windswept saddle of ice and rock, served as their launch pad for the summit attempt. Here, the air was so thin that each breath was a laborious task, and the cold was a constant, unrelenting force. The night before their final ascent was restless. The anticipation of what lay ahead, coupled with the extreme altitude, made sleep elusive. They checked and rechecked their equipment, ensuring that their oxygen systems were functioning, and that they had all the necessary gear for the climb. The oxygen tanks they carried were heavy and cumbersome but essential for survival at such heights. As dawn broke on May 29th, they embarked on their historic climb. The sky was a clear, deep blue, offering a brief window of favorable weather. The initial part of the ascent was a steep climb up the Lhotse face, a massive wall of ice that required technical skill and sheer physical strength to navigate. This section tested their endurance and climbing prowess as they maneuvered through the ice and snow with their crampons and ice axes. After the Lhotse face, they approached the Geneva Spur, a rocky ridge that provided a brief respite from the snow and ice. Here, they had to engage in some rock climbing, using their hands and feet to find holds on the cold, jagged rocks. The spur was a challenging obstacle, but it led them to the final snowfield, the last barrier before the summit. The most iconic section of the climb was the Hillary Step, a nearly vertical rock face located at around 28,750 feet. It was the last major challenge before the summit. Climbing the Hillary Step required a combination of rock climbing and careful maneuvering with their crampons. The exposure was immense, a misstep here could be fatal. But Hillary, using his mountaineering experience, found a way to ascend it. Tenzing followed, equally adept and confident in his movements. After conquering the Hillary Step, they faced a relatively gradual slope to the summit. But at this altitude, every step required a monumental effort. The thin air, the biting cold, and the sheer exhaustion from weeks of climbing were taking their toll. Yet, they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that they were on the brink of making history. Finally, at 11:30 a.m. on May 29, 1953, Hillary and Norgay reached the summit of Mount Everest. They had achieved what many had deemed impossible. Standing at the highest point on Earth, they experienced a moment of overwhelming emotion, a mix of triumph, relief, and awe at the vastness of the world below them. Hillary, with his Kodak camera, captured the moment with a photograph of Tenzing holding his ice axe adorned with flags. Tenzing, in the absence of a camera familiar to him, did not take a photograph of Hillary, a fact that Hillary would later express regret about. They spent only about 15 minutes on the summit, aware of the dangers of spending too much time at such altitude and the long descent that lay ahead. Their success on the summit was a testament to their skill, perseverance, and the spirit of human endeavor. It was a moment of personal triumph and a milestone in mountaineering history. As they began their descent, they knew that their lives would never be the same again. The summit of Everest was a pinnacle in more ways than one, a point where human determination and the majesty of nature met in a moment of extraordinary achievement. Chapter 5: The Summit. The moment Edmund, Hillary, and Tenzing Norgay reached the summit of Mount Everest, they stood at a point where no other human had ever stood. It was 11:30 a.m. on May 29, 1953. They had ascended to the highest point on Earth, a feat that symbolized the pinnacle of human endurance and ambition. The summit of Everest presented a surreal and awe-inspiring panorama. They were above the vast sea of peaks that stretched across the Himalayas, with a clear blue sky enveloping the world around them. The view was breathtaking, with the curvature of the Earth visible on the horizon, giving a sense of standing at the edge of the world. The sheer majesty of the Himalayas lay sprawled beneath them, a testament to the grandeur and beauty of nature. The air at the summit was thin and biting. Even with supplemental oxygen, each breath was a struggle. The wind was sharp and cold, cutting through their layers of clothing. The physical exhaustion from the climb was immense. At such altitude, every movement required great effort, and the extreme conditions tested the limits of their endurance. Despite the harsh environment, the moment was one of profound triumph and emotion. Hillary and Norgay spent about 15 minutes at the summit, a brief but eternal span in which they savored the fruits of their incredible journey. They took in the view, aware that they were seeing the world from a perspective few would ever experience. One of the most iconic images from their expedition was taken here. Hilary, an experienced photographer, captured a photograph of Tenzing standing on the summit, his ice axe raised, adorned with flags representing the United Nations, the United Kingdom, Nepal, and India. This image would become symbolic of their achievement. However, there are no photos of Hilary at the summit, as Tenzing, unfamiliar with the camera, did not take any. This absence of Hilary's summit photo added an element of humility and mystery to their accomplishment. They also took time to leave small offerings. Tenzing, in a gesture of Buddhist tradition, left chocolates as an offering to the gods of the mountain. Hilary, on the other hand, buried a small cross given to him by John Hunt, the expedition leader. Their time at the summit was limited. Aware of the dangers of high-altitude sickness and the dwindling oxygen supply, they could not afford to linger too long. The descent awaited them, a journey just as perilous as the ascent. The joy of reaching the summit was tempered by the knowledge that many accidents happened on the way down, and their climb was not yet over. As they began their descent, they paused to take one last look at the world below them. This moment at the summit was a historic achievement, not just for them as individuals, but for mankind. It was a testament to what humans can achieve when they dare to venture beyond the limits of the known world. Hilary and Norgay's time on the summit of Everest was brief, but its significance was monumental. It marked the conquest of an untamed natural wonder that had long captivated the imagination of people around the globe. The summit was more than a physical location. It was a symbol of human courage, perseverance, and the unyielding pursuit of dreams. As they descended, they left the summit untouched, as pristine as they had found it, a silent guardian towering over the earth, its mystery intact but its challenge met. Chapter 6: The Descent and Legacy. The descent from the summit of Mount Everest is often said to be even more perilous than the ascent. For Edmund, Hilary, and Tenzing Norgay, their journey back down the mountain on May 29, 1953, was a cautious and tense endeavor, as the euphoria of reaching the top was now tempered by the daunting task of returning safely. After their historic 15 minutes at the summit, they began their descent. The first hurdle was to navigate back down the Hilary Step, the nearly vertical rock face they had scaled on their way up. Maneuvering down this treacherous section required extreme caution, as a single misstep could result in a fatal fall. The steep, icy slopes that followed demanded their constant attention, each step carefully placed to avoid slipping or triggering an avalanche. As they descended, the thin air and extreme altitude continued to pose a severe risk. The danger of high-altitude cerebral edema, a potentially fatal swelling of the brain caused by the high altitude, loomed over them. Despite the risks, their progress was steady, their experience and preparation evident in each move they made. Upon reaching their highest camp on the South Col, they were greeted with relief and admiration by their fellow expedition members. This moment was one of shared triumph, as the success of the summit bid was a collective achievement, built on the hard work and dedication of the entire team. The journey back to base camp was long and arduous. The landscape that had once seemed so daunting on their way up now appeared familiar, yet no less dangerous. The Khumbu Icefall, with its shifting blocks of ice and deep crevices, remained one of the most hazardous sections. Careful navigation and constant vigilance were crucial, as the icefall was notoriously unpredictable. Upon their return to base camp, Hilary and Norgay were celebrated as heroes. Their achievement was not just a personal triumph but a landmark moment in mountaineering history. The news of their successful ascent spread rapidly across the globe, capturing the imagination of people everywhere. The feat was heralded as a symbol of human determination and capability, transcending borders and cultures. The legacy of their climb is multifaceted. For Edmund Hilary, it was a journey that transformed him from a beekeeper and mountaineer into an international icon. He dedicated much of his life thereafter to helping the Sherpa people of Nepal through the Himalayan Trust, an organization he founded to improve the living conditions in the Himalayas. His work in Nepal encompassed building schools, hospitals, and airstrips, significantly improving the quality of life in the Sherpa communities. Tenzing Norgay, on the other hand, became a symbol of pride for Nepal and the Sherpa community. His ascent to the summit was a testament to the skill and bravery of the Sherpas, who for years had been an integral part of Himalayan expeditions, often without recognition. Norgay's achievement brought deserved attention and respect to his community. He later established the Tenzing Norgay Adventures, a company to guide and train future generations of climbers. The 1953 Everest expedition also had a broader impact on mountaineering and exploration. It pushed the boundaries of human exploration and opened the door for future expeditions to Everest and other high peaks. The successful use of supplemental oxygen on the climb sparked debates and further research into high-altitude climbing techniques. Moreover, their ascent represented a moment of unity and international cooperation during a time marked by geopolitical tensions. The feat was seen as a symbol of what could be achieved through teamwork and shared ambition. The descent of Hillary and Norgay from Everest summit marked the end of one journey and the beginning of another, their lifelong journey of leveraging their achievement for greater good. Their legacy is not confined to the record books of mountaineering but resonates in the fields of philanthropy, community development, and the enduring spirit of exploration. Their footsteps on Everest were a testament to human potential, inspiring countless individuals to pursue their dreams and conquer their own personal Everests. Chapter 7: Beyond Everest. The Ascent of Mount Everest by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay on May 29, 1953, was a defining moment not just in their lives, but in the annals of human achievement. However, this historic feat was not the end of their journey, but the beginning of a new chapter, as both men used their fame to impact the world positively and inspire future generations. After Everest, Sir Edmund Hillary did not rest on his laurels. He recognized the immense challenges faced by the Sherpa communities in Nepal and dedicated much of his life to improving their living conditions. He established the Himalayan Trust in 1960, an organization focused on providing the Sherpa people with better education, healthcare, and environmental sustainability. Hillary spearheaded numerous projects through the trust. He helped build schools, hospitals, airstrips, and bridges, greatly enhancing the infrastructure in remote Himalayan villages. His efforts brought education and modern medical care to thousands, transforming lives and earning him deep respect and love among the Sherpa people. Beyond Nepal, Hillary continued his adventures and exploration. He led expeditions to the South Pole, becoming one of the first to reach the pole overland since Robert Falcon Scott in 1912. He also led a jet boat expedition up the Ganges River and conducted research in the Himalayas. However, his heart remained with the Sherpa people, and his humanitarian work is his most enduring legacy. Tenzing Norgay, too, leveraged his fame for the greater good. He became a national hero in Nepal and an icon for climbers worldwide. In 1954, he was awarded the George Medal by the British government for his role in the Everest expedition. Norgay's later years were dedicated to guiding and mentoring future generations of mountaineers. He established the Tenzing Norgay Adventures, a company that offered trekking and mountaineering opportunities in the Himalayas. Through this venture, he imparted his vast knowledge of the mountains and inspired many young climbers. His commitment to mountaineering was also reflected in his work with the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling, where he served as the director of field training. Norgay's passion for the mountains and his desire to share his expertise made him a revered figure in the climbing community. The Ascent of Everest by Hillary and Norgay had a profound impact on the field of mountaineering. It opened the door to numerous expeditions to Everest and other high peaks. Their success demonstrated the importance of careful planning, teamwork, and respect for the harsh mountain environment. Their story also played a significant role in popularizing mountaineering and outdoor adventure. It inspired countless individuals to explore and challenge themselves, leading to a surge in interest in climbing, trekking, and exploration. The feat was a reminder of human potential and the spirit of exploration that lies within everyone. Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay's journey beyond Everest was marked by their commitment to helping others, sharing their knowledge, and promoting exploration and understanding. They are remembered not only for their historic climb but also for their humanitarian efforts, their contributions to mountaineering, and their roles as ambassadors of goodwill. Their legacy is not confined to their footprints on the summit of Everest but is woven into the fabric of the communities they helped, the individuals they inspired, and the spirit of exploration they embodied. The story of Hillary and Norgay goes beyond the mountain. It is a tale of human compassion, adventure, and the relentless pursuit of making the world a better place. Their lives after Everest are a testament to the fact that one extraordinary achievement can be the catalyst for a lifetime of service and inspiration. Epilogue: The Eternal Mountain, Mount Everest, rising majestically above the earth, has stood for millennia as a symbol of awe, challenge, and mystery. The successful ascent by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay in 1953 added a significant chapter to its history. But the mountain's story extends far beyond any single event. Everest remains an eternal testament to the Earth's grandeur and the human spirit's unyielding drive to explore and conquer the unknown. The conquest of Everest by Hilary and Norgay opened the gates for numerous subsequent expeditions, each seeking to add its own story to the legacy of the mountain. Over the years, Everest has witnessed numerous feats of extraordinary endurance and skill, as well as heartbreaking tragedies. It has seen the first solo ascent, the first winter ascent, and records for the fastest climb. The mountain has been summited by the young and the old, by men and women from diverse backgrounds, each adding a unique thread to the rich tapestry of Everest's history. However, the mountain has not been immune to the challenges brought by its increasing popularity. The issues of overcrowding, environmental degradation, and the risks posed to climbers and Sherpas alike have become subjects of intense discussion within the mountaineering community and beyond. Everest, while a beacon for adventurers, also serves as a reminder of the need for responsible and sustainable interaction with our planet's natural wonders. Despite the risks and challenges, the allure of Everest remains undiminished. For many, it represents the ultimate test of physical and mental endurance, a pinnacle of achievement in the literal and metaphorical sense. The mountain continues to attract a global array of climbers, drawn not only to the physical act of reaching its summit but also to the personal journey that such an endeavor entails. The climb to Everest is as much about self-discovery and pushing personal boundaries as it is about scaling a physical height. Beyond the realm of mountaineering, Everest has secured a place in popular culture and imagination. It has inspired countless books, documentaries, and films, each attempting to capture the essence of what makes this mountain so captivating. The stories of those who have climbed it, and of those who have perished, resonate with themes of ambition, perseverance, and the complex relationship between humans and nature. Everest also serves as a barometer of changing attitudes towards exploration, risk, and our environment. The discussions around Everest reflect broader conversations about how we interact with our planet, and the footprint we leave behind in our quest for achievement. Ultimately, Mount Everest remains an enduring symbol of challenge and exploration. It stands not only as a physical entity to be conquered, but as a metaphor for human aspiration and the pursuit of dreams. The mountain, in all its majesty and ferocity, continues to challenge us, inspire us, and remind us of our place in the vast tapestry of the natural world. The story of Hilary and Norgay's ascent is a significant chapter in Everest's history, but the mountain's story transcends any individual or event. It is a story that continues to evolve with each expedition, each climber, and each new dawn that casts its light on Everest's towering peak. Mount Everest, the eternal mountain, remains a beacon of wonder, challenge, and inspiration, as enduring and profound as the human spirit itself.